Now, what price is the Nigerian economy paying while both arms of government fight? Talking about the executive and the legislature. Will they kiss and make up? We are still waiting for it, but with the promise anyway that the 2018 budget would be passed in April. We have with us now in the studio an economist, Akin Omisade, to discuss with us the possibilities and, of course, what they country is paying at this time for the delay of the passage of the 2018 budget. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us on the show.
Good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you.
All right. Would you say too little too late if the budget gets passed in April? Because from our last experience of 2017, which it was signed in June. So by April, do you think that it will be a record time?
Well, you said something. I said whether it's too little too late. When you say that, that means you're expecting something would have happened. You'll see that the statement of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, maybe, from what we are hearing, it's going to be passed sometime May 17th or thereabout. So it's way too late. That's the direct answer to it. It's way too late. And if you look at it, we've had this government for the last 3 years, budgets passed. This is the second time, effectively, that it's been passed, rather very late in the day. I mean, it's like trying to lock the stable doors when the house has already bolted. You know, the economy is in free fall. It's stagnated, and if you look at it, I was reviewing this situation. It took our president how many months to appoint his cabinet? He's done an attempt at putting things back in place by putting a financial year from January to December. The budget was presented November 7th with the expectation that by end of December we'll have that in place. January, Senate President was already saying, are we magicians?
He was said so in December too.
Yeah, he said so in December. He said so December 11th or thereabout. Are we magicians? He said that in January, that are we magicians? They had a 2-week break. And there's been that issue of the MDAs are not ready. The figures don't agree with what the president has stated. So the people, the officers in the budget planning office, what have they done? Now, as of last year, I commented in one of your programs that it is sad that 2017 budget, the Minister for Finance stated that we've actually implemented 40%. Now,
of the 2017 budget?
Of the 2017 budget, whilst it was still active or live. But then the report and the review says we've only done 12 to 15%. That's a non-starter. So it's way too late. So which budget are we running with? Are we running 2017 budget presently? Are we in transition? Is there an interim process? When is 2018 budget going to kick into place? Now, what are the consequences of having this confusion? One, there's no money in the economy. 2, it doesn't give investors any confidence in our economy. 3, contractors that you've mobilized, probably other contractors have gone ahead to facilitate for loans. The banks are not going to just keep the monies aside and say, okay, when you have facilitated or where the security agreement or where's the performance bond, the monies will go elsewhere. So you see, all this is creating a stagnation in whatever we have done or whatever gains we've achieved. Equally, the government is not dynamic enough. And when I say the government is not dynamic, the government is not reacting to changes. The government benchmarked the budget against $45 to the barrel. The barrel is selling at 69.7 as of last night or very early this morning. The National Assembly has benchmarked it at $50 to the barrel. I mean, come on. As of today, the increase is about 45%, 48% from 45 to 69. And it is going to increase. They've benchmarked it against 2.3 million barrels per day. So you see that there are a lot of things that are out of sync in our planning and our implementation. Should we go back to a situation of It's going to be from April to March. And then we don't have that expectation that we don't have that expectation that it's going to be from January to December. So we should probably wake up and smell the coffee and stop fooling ourselves.
So it doesn't make us Nigeria plan very well.
Well, we're not planning. I mean, we have the good intention. However, the execution of that good intention is failing us.
Now, the Vice President, Professor Yomi Osinbajo, when he was acting sometime last year, he was trying to do everything possible to ensure that the 2018 budget, or financial year kicks from 1st of January. But looking at it however way, how more beneficial is it for the economy, for whether the financial or budgetary year starts from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, or whether it starts from the 1st of June to the 30th of July the next year? What's the difference?
Well, there's really no difference,
Okay.
but you must have a start date.
All right.
You put in a budget. What's a budget? It's an estimation of my income, my expenditures, and I net out the balance. But you must be able to work according to some timelines. We're living in a community of nations. We are not in vacuum. So if you don't have those timelines, then you don't have any metrics to measure yourself against. Am I succeeding? I mean, we all earn a salary, or you all run a business. Nigeria is a business, and that's the problem we have. Nigeria is not being run as a business. If the Nigerian business is being run as it ought to be, okay, I'm going to start my office at January or April, and then I'm going to put in all my projections in place, and I'm going to run it for the next 12 months. I'm going to now have a review after the 12 months. If we don't have a start and an end, we don't have a review. Then we just keep going on and on and on without anything to measure ourselves against. Look at England, United Kingdom. The tax year starts on a particular date. Every business knows that I need to file my tax returns by this date. If you're self-employed, you file your self-assessment returns by a particular start date. So everybody is working towards that, because if you don't, then there are penalties. But here in Nigeria, what are we working against? What are we benchmarking against? Mediocrity has now become the norm. And because mediocrity has crept into every fiber, we have no standardization. So that was what Professor Osinbajo was trying to introduce. That, okay, if we have a standard, we have our own calendar, then we can say, okay, this is what we are working to. Because at the end of the year, don't forget that the National Assembly, the executive and the legislature will sit together and say, okay, we allocated X amount for Niger Delta. We allocated X amount to agriculture. Let's review it. Did we achieve against our projections? Power sector, housing sector, the energy sector got the largest chunk of the budget this year, over 500 billion. How much of it has been put in place? The minister last year said, when the minister for finance last year said, we have 100 billion for mines and the housing sector, the minister said, I've not seen the money. So where's the 100 billion gone to? Now, the same week, the minister now said, the minister for finance now said, there are some French entrepreneurs coming into Nigeria. We have 750 billion to invest. Where did that money suddenly come from? So if we don't have a start and end date, what do we carry over? What do we say we've had a deficit against? So it is very crucial. I mean, it just goes against all reasonable economic planning if you don't have those start and end dates.
Yeah, and what do you think that the president should have done differently? Because the National Assembly had been shouting very loud that MDAs were not, coming to the House to defend their expenditures. And then just recently, the president now gave them an order about 50 MDAs that they should do so, or else the officials would be sacked. So why wait, first of all, on the start of the MDAs, wait for the order of the president, and then the president even waiting for so long before saying that? Well,
okay, first of all, if you review what has been happening, how many MDAs were we expecting? And that's why I say this confusion lies squarely with the Budget and Planning Office, because they collated all these documents, all these figures and metrics for the president. there is a standardization regulation where the format of the budget is known, prepared by the government and analysts. That was done. Now, why did that not, the homework, why was it not done then? That's the first thing. So heads should have rolled before now. Why wait? Immediately the budget was read, the Senate received it, and they immediately let out that we do not agree with the backup. You've given us the president gives the high level. The details is in what the MDAs are coming to do. So they're coming to say, we've put in there that we are budgeting 100 million, for example. The president has said, okay, agriculture needs 100 million. Someone from agriculture now needs to come and defend that 100. That was where it was lacking. So when should heads have rolled? It should have been then.
But the budget office said that details were attached.
But then the Senate is saying the details were not attached. Not only were the details not attached, now let's look at it carefully. Not only were the details not attached, it was padded. There were some MDAs that suddenly came up that were not in the budget.
There.
So the Senate was now scrutinizing with a fine-tooth comb what was actually happening. So where's that bridge of communication that was broken? If the Senate is now saying, what I expected the Senate president to have done is, listen, we are not the one holding the country to ransom. We are not the one causing this country to move forward. We are not the one causing this country to develop. But listen, we've not been given the ingredients to come up with the law that will propel this country forward. But what are they saying? Sound bites. The chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Senator Ibrahim, he said, oh, nobody has come forward. We've invited them. If you invite someone to come to the Senate, what do you do? In England, if a select committee invites you to come, it's as if the Queen has asked you to come, but you see, with impunity. So the president should not be, the executive order should have gone since last year. If there was the real intention that by 31st December, would have finalized, and January 1 would have gone. Then there was another issue that the Senate has stated, which we should not forget. You had mentioned it. We started spending in June. We are now in December. Account to me what you have spent till date.
Some lawmakers even mentioned that.
Yes. So account to me what you have spent till date. Do you have any excess monies lying anywhere? So if you have a credit, do we carry it over?
Exactly.
If you have a deficit, how do we resolve it? We can't just move from one year to the other without closing shop on one. No.
Wow. It's quite...
It's interesting. And then if you look at it, one thing I find interesting, the budget says mines and power and housing, largest chunk. We've been hearing that we want to diversify and move away from oil. But look at agriculture is fourth on the list. And now we have 2 elections coming up in the Southwest. We have the elections in Osun State, we have the elections in Ekiti State. I've heard a contender in Osun State, Kunle Adegoke. He's been saying, listen, forget about everything. Let us improve agriculture. When we improve on our investments into agriculture, Osun State will not be depending on
federal government,
federal allocations. So those are things that, for me, that all these monies that over the years, we signed an agricultural pact in Africa some time ago under President Jonathan. Why has it not been done? Look at what is happening between Lagos State and Kebbi State. This is what this gentleman, Kunle Adegoke, is trying to do now in Osun State as is contending as a gubernatorial aspirant. So when we look at the pains that this budget, the fact that this budget has not been released, it gives a serious air of uncertainty. A few months ago, there was a health sector foreign company. They came to Nigeria and said, listen, Nigeria has got the numbers, we've got the money, we've got the facilities, but we don't have the will. We don't have the goodwill. And they've now set up in Ghana. Ghana. I mean, I wish our leaders could feel the tension.
Well, we have also heard of several American companies that were supposed to come to Nigeria, but they moved to South Africa
because of uncertainty.
Of
Listen, if I come to you now and we sign a memorandum of understanding, and I'm assuring you the government is sponsoring this, the government is supporting this sector, the government is going to release 750 billion, and then you go back and you go and make arrangements, you go and seek funding, and then you say, when are we going to start the project? And we are still thinking about it, or we've not finalized the figures. It gives a very bad odor about us.
And talking about, yes, talking about giving about odor and uncertainty, really.
Yes.
We are gradually edging closer to the election year.
Yes.
What does that portend really for Nigeria now that the 2018 budget has not even been passed at this time?
First of all, what I say is, you say it's not been passed. That's assuming there is a budget. Because are we going to have a budget review? When all the MDAs have come forward, they've defended, and we now see that the figures that we've been projecting against or working against are actually not in sync. Now, with the elections coming, sooner than later, President Buhari will be on the electioneering campaign. And then that goes to the civil servants. And these are the same civil servants that the Senate and the reps are complaining about. So you see, we have a big issue there.
Okay. All right, we have to leave it here now. Akin Omisade, economist, thank you very much for giving us insight into all that.
Thank you very much.
All right.